Hi everyone, welcome to part 9 of our Frogger mini-series, and in this video we'll be creating the last vehicle for this project, which will be the truck. This will give us 3 unique vehicles to populate our map with, but let's not waste any time and just jump right into it. Alright, so first we're going to open up our content drawer, we'll go back to our art folder, and we'll right click, select new folder, this time we'll just call it truck. And we're going to import our truck model. I will make this FBX file available on Gumroad, so you'll be able to grab it there. Actually, you'll only be able to grab it there. I won't put this one on Fab. So let's drag it in, and then just like we did before, we're going to check the static mesh, scroll down for build, and make sure build nanite is unchecked. We do that because nanite is, of course, used for basically high poly photorealistic models. It doesn't work well for low poly or mid poly assets. So with that in mind, we'll just hit import. It'll import the static mesh and the materials associated with it. So then we're going to head back to our blueprints folder, and we can right click on our parent BP underscore moving objects, and we will create a child blueprint class. This one will just follow the same naming convention. We'll just call it BP underscore truck. We can double click to open up the blueprint. And then we'll open up our content drawer, go back to our art folder, and then select truck. And then we're going to select all the static meshes for this object, which just 3. So it's just the main truck body, and then the back and the front wheels. And remember, we did those separately so we can animate them inside Unreal Engine. So with those highlighted, we'll just hit the add button under components, and then we'll select the static mesh multiple assets. Kind of like so. Then we're going to select the BP truck root component, and then under the details panel we're going to set the preview mesh to be the truck, truck 1, and then for the behavior type we're going to default it to loop reset, and then we might as well set the default behavior to be 10 seconds like we did with the sedan. The other thing we'll want to do is we'll want to select all the static meshes, and then in the details panel we'll want to search for collision. The default is going to be block all dynamic. We're going to set that to overlap for the wheels and the truck body, and that's just so it doesn't block our Frogger and push it off, outside the map. Alright, so that looks pretty good so far. Then the other thing we need to do is we need to select our box collider, or a box trigger, and then in the box extent we need to make it larger so it encompasses the entirety of the vehicle. For this model I found 455 by 290 by 300 works pretty okay. And then we just want to maybe come to right view and then just push it forward just a smidge, somewhere around like maybe there. Then we come back to perspective, and that seems okay. We might even bump it up. Let's go back. Probably bump it up maybe just a little bit. That seems okay. Alright, so with that set we can go back here, and our map is getting cluttered, but let's drag out that blueprint just to see what it looks like. And just pull it up a bit. And then we can go to our control points and just hit the plus sign twice to add 2 different control points. And then we'll just drag off one of the control points so we can kind of move it wherever. And then we can kind of see that it's working. If we overlap, you see it says you died. That looks great, and then it should of course reset once it's hit its target position and then flip back. But this map's just a little bit crowded, so let's go ahead and do a new level. We'll choose basic, we'll save selected, and that way we can maybe add a few of them here. Drag that up a bit. If you hold control and then the left and right mouse button, it's like a shortcut to, the left mouse is like the x-axis, the right mouse is the y-axis, and if you click them both while holding control, that's your Z, so that's a nice little shortcut in case you needed it. All right, so let's press E to go into rotation, flip it 90 degrees, and then maybe move it right around here. That seems okay. And again, we'll just add 2 control points. Pop out this one. Should be right about there. And then we can select this, hold the Alt key, drag this here, press E to rotate. We'll rotate 180 degrees. And then we're just going to push it back over here. And the duration for this one might be a little bit faster. Maybe move that one right here, and then we'll do this one. Move this one over like that. And this one we'll do maybe 7 seconds. All right, we're getting there. Now we got some vehicles populating here. That looks all right. Now we just need to animate the tires and the body like we did before. So we'll go back into the blueprint, and under the event graph, we're going to pull off the begin play here, create a timeline. And this timeline is going to do 2 things. The first thing, we're going to select the front and back wheels. We'll pull off one of those and do a set relative rotation. But we're going to plug in both pins to the target. Hook up the update like so. Split the rotation. And then the last thing we need to do is we need to get the truck body. And we're going to set the relative rotation on the body as well to give it a little bit of a wiggle. Hook up the pins like so. And then maybe we'll drag this up like that. And then we just double click on our timeline to edit it. And this is where we can actually set up the graph or the curve, I guess. So we'll add a float track. First one's going to be our tire rotation. Very simple, just right click, add a keyframe. We're going to do 0, 0. And then our last one is going to be at the end of the timeline, which you can see the length is 5 seconds here. So we'll do 5. And we'll do a right before a full rotation, 359 degrees. Again, we do that because a full circle is 360. But when we're talking about rotation, 360 is the same as 0. It ends at the same spot, so we want to go right before it. So when it loops, when we enable looping here, it'll be a smooth transition. And then we'll add another float track called Wiggle. And this one is a little more complicated. We'll add our first keyframe at the beginning at 0, 0. Then we'll add our last keyframe at 5, 0, because it's going to end where it begins. And we're going to add 2 keyframes in between. We'll do one at maybe 1, 2, 5. We'll give the value of 2 just to give a small wiggle. And then maybe 3.75, and we'll do -2. So we have this sort of graph, and then we can just right click on these, set it to auto for the interpolation, so it's a smooth transition. Compile, save. So now we have our tire rotation and our wiggle. We just have to figure out what to rotate. So again, if we go to the viewport and we select any of the wheels, what we want to rotate is the y-axis, which you can see here, the little gizmo, y is green. We want to rotate this direction. But for the truck body, I want to rotate in the roll, which is the red, which is the x-axis. Which, yeah, I think that's the roll. So we go back to our event graph. Tire rotation will go in the y. Wiggle will go in the roll. And we can kind of see what this looks like. We'll simulate. See, the tires are messed up here, so we'll have to fix that. But we can see the body looks pretty good. So let's fix the tires, just like we did before. We'll go into our art folder, select the truck. We're going to drag in the wheels. So there's the back, and here's the front wheels. And now that we have both of these here, we can select our selection mode, switch that to modeling mode. Then there is an or an X form, and then you can select edit pivot with one of your items selected. And you can see the pivot point is when it does this on the import for Unreal. The pivot point in Blender is actually centered, so the Unreal import wizard, for whatever reason, will make it the truck body instead of the actual pivot point of the wheels. So that's kind of why we have to do this. So you just go into here and you hit center, it'll move that, and then you hit accept, and then it's good. And then you can select this one over here, hit edit pivot point, select center, then hit accept. That one's good. We can come out of modeling mode back into selection mode, and then we can actually select both these items, delete them because we don't need them in the world. Go back to our truck. You'll notice it kind of messes with the placement of the wheels, so we'll have to fix that. That's no biggie. We can just select the front wheels and we'll push that forward and then down. And then maybe if we come to right view, we can maybe go right about there's maybe okay. Let's see what this one looks like. Push this right here. Then we can copy. So this is at -224. -224. Man, that's pretty good. All right, so let's go back to perspective, see how that looks. Doesn't look too bad. Maybe it could go up just a smidge. So let's select both of these. Or can I shift select? I can't. So let's bring it up. Maybe -215. That seems pretty good. So we'll compile, save, and now when we hit simulate, you'll notice the wheels are spinning in place, which is much better than we had before. And the truck is rocking. That looks good. Wheels could probably be spinning a little bit quicker, so we need a way to control that. So we can add a variable. Bottom left corner, hit the plus sign. We'll call this maybe the tire speed. We'll set it to a float value, and we're going to click the eyeball to make it editable, or you can update it in the editor basically. Let's try a value of 4 starting off. And if we go back to the event graph, we'll make a slight adjustment here. And what we'll do is we'll come off into a multiply node, pass that into the actual Y, and then we'll pass the tire speed to multiply it against, like so. And if we compile and save, go back to the viewport and simulate. Now you control the actual speed of the tires, so that looks a little bit better. So when you place these out in the world, you'll see tire speed right here, so you can have some go quicker. So maybe that one's a 6. Maybe this one is a 3. And we'll leave that standard. So now when you're moving the things around, some tires move quicker than the other, and that looks a lot better. Alright, good people, I think we'll cut the video here, but in the next one, we'll begin working on our main level for this prototype. As always, thanks for watching, consider subscribing, and we'll see you on the next one.